welcome. You're watching Medically Speaking, and you are welcome to the very special segment of Medically Speaking, where we are going to talk about the recent outbreak of monkeypox. Shortly after the world was recovering from COVID, monkeypox created a menace that nobody had expected. WHO has recently declared it as public health emergency. Now, to give a little brief about it, we are going to talk to Dr. Dikshit Thakur, consultant and head pulmonary critical care and sleep medicine from Artemis Light Hospital, New Delhi. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon.
So, if you will give us a little brief about what is the history of this virus, monkeypox virus, because we have heard about it earlier on, but why is it spreading now? Could you just give a little facts about it?
So, let me go back to the history in 1950s. So, this is a virus of the group called pox virus. This is the same group of virus which we are having known diseases like chickenpox and the smallpox. In 1950s, in Africa, in a lab testing, they found that these few monkeys are suffering from a disease, and when they isolated that virus, so they called it as a monkeypox. Otherwise, this is a misnomer. This is not a disease of the monkeys. In humans, if you'll find about the first case in 1970s, a kid from Congo was found infected, and he was the first case of monkeypox in the humans. Now, come back to 2000s. In 20 to 30 years between 1970 to 2000, this was disease of more of African countries like Western Africa and the Central Africa. There are two types of viruses which are more prevalent in Africa. One is Western African strain and one is the Central African strain. And disease were more or less confined to the Africa only, and nowhere outside that area this disease were being found. But in 2003, in US, they found few cases which have come back from the Africa, and then they had a few cases from which human transmission, like from one person to the another, the disease was getting transmitted. And this was the first outbreak outside the Africa when we found that monkeypox is out. But then between 2003 to 2020, more or less, again, the disease was endemic in the Africa, but not outside. But in last 1 year, we are seeing that gradually the numbers are coming up, and whole of the Europe started to getting infected. Then comes the US, and now the Asian countries are also affected. So today, if we'll talk, so at present, more than 26,000 cases of proven monkeypox cases are present all over the globe. Maximum number in the US, like more than 7,000 cases. And in India, if you'll ask, so current data is 8 patients in India are positive, and 2 of them are lying currently in Delhi.
Right, sir. And you talked about the spread. So we have heard that it spreads through the air, sporadic spread. So what exactly, how exactly is it, able to spread to such an extent? How is it spreading globally within the last 1 year? How has it been able to spread within such a huge population, the 7,000, the numbers that you are confirming? Just little brief about how is it, spreading among such a huge population.
So, medically speaking, the exact mechanism of transmission of this virus is not known. All of the data which we are having, these are few theories or little bit of evidence-based data which we are having. So, most common transmission of this monkeypox in between the humans is by close contact with the infected body fluids. Body fluids in the sense like there can be rashes on the skin from where the fluid is oozing out. If you are having a close contact with that, close sexual contact, even the coughing out of secretions, this is called the droplet infection. If you are in very close proximity to the infected person, so then also you can get the infection. In UK, the data has shown that this disease is most prevalent in the homosexual men's, and mostly the homosexual and the bisexual. So it means the sexual transmission because the sexual body through that route, when body fluids are getting intermixed, so they are getting the infection. So this is the another part of the way when how the infection is getting spread.
Right, so this is a gray area that only homosexual, particularly the homosexual population is getting affected.
It's not only, I would like to correct you, it's not only homosexual, but in UK, more than 70% of cases are homosexuals. But it can spread to the normal individuals from close contact of the body fluids from an infected person.
So continuing on the same path, could you just give us a little, tell us something about who are the high risk population of this virus, and who should be more careful about it with it?
Before going into that, I would like to comment that this is an infectious disease, but not as infectious as compared to the COVID. That is first point. That's why the cases are not going up so fast. Now comes to your main question that what was the question, please?
Who is the high risk
Yes, high
population?
risk
Yeah.
cases. Yeah, sorry for that. So high risk population is mostly the immunocompromised individual. Let's say I am having some diabetes, hypertension, some kidney disease, any form of chronic diseases. Some patients who are having a transplant patient like renal transplant, liver transplant patients who have received that, and even some patients are on immunosuppressants like steroids or some other immunity suppressing drugs for their various diseases, like we can say that sarcoidosis and even the arthritis. In these patients, we use the immunosuppressive drugs. All these patients are at more prone or are more prone for the infection of this monkeypox.
Okay. And so just to know what is the severity of this virus, because we have seen some cases where the patients are recovering very quickly, whereas a death also has been reported recently in Kerala. So how severe, what is the severity of this disease
Yes.
among these populations and in
So
general?
to tackle this question, I would like to comment little bit into the details of the virus.
Sure, sir.
The two strains of virus are present in the globe. One is the Central Africa and the Western Africa. The
Okay.
strain which is common in Congo, that is more virulent and more, uh, I would say, more potent and more case fatalities there. So if we'll talk about the mortality rate, the more severe form is having the mortality of between 6 to 10%, whereas the Western African strain, that is milder strain, the mortality rate is around 3 to 6%. So it means most of the cases are getting cured by themselves. So this is a self-limiting disease. I would like to uh, emphasize on that because there is no as such specific treatment which is currently available or which should be given to treat it. Mostly we have to give the symptomatic treatment and prevent the complication. If you will treat that, so 90% of the cases will be saved, and even many can be saved by themselves. The disease is a natural course of the disease is that it will settle in 2 3 weeks on its own.
Okay. And so, lastly, just a little about the alarming symptoms. What are the alarming symptoms? Because we have heard about blisters and SARS and fever, but these are generally symptoms that we usually see on a daily basis on our skin. So, what is the difference between the monkeypox symptoms and general fever?
Monkeypox, the symptoms of monkeypox is more of any viral fever which can have. So the basic symptoms like fever, malaise, body aches, generalized tiredness, muscle pains, all those things are quite common. But the peculiar feature which little bit can differentiate it from the other viruses is the typical type of rash which is present, which can be present from head to toe anywhere, and these are quite big blister forming, and sometimes the fluid can also ooze out of from that. So this is quite different. And now the complications. Complications is generally there won't be any complication, but in few high risk cases which we already discussed, like immunocompromised and patients with chronic diseases, in these cases the chances of secondary infections is always there. Secondary infection means the Monkeypox infection is already there, it is settling, but because of this infection, the immunity goes further low.
Okay.
And because of that, the other normal infections like bacterial infection can happen, and that can kill your patient. Another common cause of mortality and the complication is this patient is dehydration. So if we are covering the dehydration properly, because this patient won't be able to take the fluids properly, they are not well, they might be having vomiting or other issues, and so if you are taking care of their hydration well, so this dehydration part can be taken care of, and we can prevent major complications. And if needed, in case of secondary infection, if you find, so then you can treat that with the antibiotics and you can further control the complication.
Okay, so now just coming to the close of this conversation, due to COVID, we are seeing people have rather grown skeptical and lackadaisical because of the multiple spread and multiple waves coming across the world. So people have forgotten taking precautions, and we really don't know how much sure and how much say vigilant should we stay against this virus. So what are the precautions that you suggest? What is your message to the people?
So, same like COVID, this disease can also be prevented by just taking the precautions. This is the best part of it. It is less infectious compared to COVID. If you'll take proper precautions, if you find somebody is having the symptoms,
Right.
so at least as an individual, if I'm having that symptom, so first I should not go into the community. I should wear masks. I should not touch anywhere. And let's say if I'm working in an office, so I should not touch everywhere and spread the secretions to all around. So that is one part. The other part is, let's say I'm not infected and I'm going out. So use a proper mask, full social distancing, just like the COVID, and proper hand hygiene. So if you're following these things, you won't get the infection. And normal healthy lifestyle is always an add-on to that. And most probably you will be prevented from the getting the infection.
Exactly. And thank you, sir, for such a positive, such a hope-giving message. I hope that people who are scared also will get some information and a little bit of help through this interview, through this video of ours, special segment. Thank you for watching, and thank you, sir, for your time. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And for more such videos, subscribe to our channel, Medically Speaking, on NewsX. Thank you for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.